Gone is the era of Arsenal Football Club being the Premier League's resident banter team. We're far removed from the era of late-stage Wenger. We're experiencing a new era for the Gunners, one that nearly won the league title in 2022-23 and recently held Pep Guardiola's Manchester City to a 0-0 draw, despite the looming threat of an informed KDB. Both on and off field, the former Spanish international midfielder, Everton hero and Arsenal cult hero Mikel Arteta has transformed the status of the club from the inside out. Despite arriving as an impromptu replacement for Unai Emery in 2019, he's since made his role permanent and built a squad currently in the Champions League knockout rounds for the first time in half a decade. On top of that, Arsenal sit top of the Premier League at the time of writing. That said, do you think Arsenal have a chance to win the league? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Under Arsene Wenger, Arsenal had an identity. They were the outliers with something to prove. However, following his departure and the arrival of Unai Emery, the club struggled with identity problems. At the time, considering them as a part of the Big Six was purely based on history and club value, not competitiveness. This was because Arsenal were firmly stapled to the middle of the table, and dreams of being title contenders were laughable. However, all of that changed with Mikel Arteta. Sure, he didn't get off to a flying start, but that's not how identities are drafted, especially when dealing with a club that had fallen off so badly it was unrecognizable. Arsene Wenger gave Mikel Arteta the chance to coach the Arsenal youth team following his retirement. He turned it down to become assistant manager at Manchester City, as his fellow Spaniard Pep Guardiola took the reins in Manchester. He enjoyed 3.5 years under Pep and even managed the first 11 in a 2-1 Champions League loss to Lyon following Guardiola's touchline ban. After Emery was sacked following a poor run of results, Mikel went to Pep and told him of his intentions to take the reins of the club he once captained. Arteta did not find life in North London easy at first. In his first season, Arsenal finished 8th, their lowest league finish in the Premier League era. He should have been sacked, but he survived for 2 reasons. For starters, they won the FA Cup final against Chelsea 2-1 thanks to the brilliance of Aubameyang. But the other reason was that they had hope, as he had the team playing exciting football. However, the next season didn't have that luck, as they also finished 8th without any trophy. Arteta implemented a clear and unique playing style, built on a solid defensive structure and quick transitions to switch play into attack. It was like watching the Arsenal of old gradually recover bits and pieces of itself. Sure, they lost and drew more games than they won, but the players were locked into the vision. For once, they believed in the coach and committed themselves to him. Thankfully, Arteta's days under Pep meant he has a keen eye for ability and detail. And so, even before he could afford to get the players befitting the regal identity of a club that had won the league unbeaten in the past, Arteta was still able to make the most of the players at his disposal, and effectively, too. Their signings that season flopped, with Pablo Mari and Thomas Partey failing to make an impact. The only signing that truly delivered and lived up was Gabriel Magalhaes, who solidified their backline and laid the building blocks for their future. Arsenal were unlucky to miss out on Champions League football to Spurs, and they still hadn't delivered in the Europa League. Still, the board remained patient amidst growing impatience from fans. This gave Arteta the chance to build a super team. They knew it was no rush and that he was working forward. The signings they made that season would be the building blocks for their rise though. In the summer of 2021, Arteta signed Martin Odegaard, Ben White, Takehiro Tomiyasu and Aaron Ramsdale. In 2022, he recalled William Saliba and signed Gabriel Jesus, Alexander Zinchenko and Fabio Vieira. Before the start of the 2022-23 season, they weren't tipped to finish high. A Champions League finish would have been decent, but they outdid the odds. 2022-23 was a rebirth year. It started with Arteta reaching his 50th win as Arsenal manager, the second fastest after Wenger. They went on to lead the title charge for most of the season, until they bottled it towards the end, losing to Man City by only 4 points. They also boosted recruitment by signing Jorginho, Trossard and Kivior in January. However, it meant that for the first time since 2016, they qualified for the Champions League. Gabriel, Ramsdale, White and Saka featured in every game. They also had a very youthful squad with an average age of 25 years and 52 days. Under Arteta, Arsenal broke the club record for league goals with 88, mainly thanks to Saka, Odegaard and Martinelli. Mikel has won 6 Manager of the Month awards in his time at the Emirates. He also got his 100th win as Arsenal boss. That summer, they broke their transfer record by splashing 100 million on Declan Rice, who's been exceptional, alongside getting Chelsea's Kai Havertz, who's found his form of late. Thanks to improved playing styles, better formations in and out of possession, and reinforcements and key player signings, Arsenal aren't so easy to bully anymore. Despite injury woes in the backline, Arteta's managed to keep a good defensive structure that gives the Gunners enough backing to attack without fearing utter capitulation during counter-attacks. Arsenal are now a more physically dominant side, capable of running the opposition ragged. While this meant they conceded more fouls and picked up more bookings in the past, Arteta's found a way to fine-tune his strategy, such that they control the game without running the risk of losing any players. Finally, we can't fail to mention how deadly Arsenal have become during set pieces. Arteta has his Gunners focused on more than just controlling the match during open play. He also wants them to maximise set-piece opportunities, a move that's paid off remarkably. They lead the Premier League stats for dead ball goals at 18. Gabriel and Saliba have been particularly deadly from set pieces. And it all began with the appointment of set-piece coach Nicolas Hover. This has been one of the more tactical off-field acquisitions that the Arteta-led era's gotten right. Hover has sold players on his unique tactics, which has made the team a massive threat when it comes to set pieces. For perspective, before the appointment of Hover, Arsenal had the 3rd lowest set-piece goals in the league during the 2020-21 season. By the next season following Hover's signing, the Gunners scored the most goals from dead ball situations within the first 3 months. This isn't the first time Arteta's made off-field decisions to help the Arsenal project. Their current talent acquisition and transfer market capabilities are thanks to the insightful appointment of Edu Gaspar. The former Arsenal midfield has been instrumental in the rebuild. The Gunners used to be a more conservative club, with their spending and transfers in every market window. However, the arrival of Edu seems to have loosened the purse strings of the club, allowing Arteta to target and pull key players to the club. At the end of the day, the manager can only do so much with how he coaches the players before and during games. Ultimately, it's up to the players to enact the manager's vision on the field and adapt to changing dynamics as they emerge. Captains are the result of trying to fill that vacuum as the coach is limited to the sidelines. They're the rallying cries on the field that could make all the difference. For example, Manchester United were known for their highly professional and dogged dressing room under Roy Keane. Compare that to the utter capitulation and unprofessionalism during Harry Maguire's captaincy. Arteta made a wise choice in picking a captain as his dream team started to show up. No one expected Martin Odegaard to have the level of maturity required to lead a team comprising very young and aging players, especially as he was signed as a youngster. But Arteta's risk seems to have paid off splendidly. The Norwegian succeeds a string of failed captains at Arsenal who left in less than stellar terms, including Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang and Alexandre Lacazette. Odegaard seems to have risen to the challenge and is proving to be quite the leader without compromising his responsibilities as a player. He's easily one of the best players in an Arsenal shirt, helping to lead the attack and rally the defense. However, besides his impressive displays on the field, Odegaard has been particularly great with the Arsenal faithful. He's helped create a tight-knit dressing room with players that respect one another. That's a far cry from the more toxic atmosphere that followed the last 3 captains' times at the club. Additionally, Odegaard's been instrumental in bridging the gap between players and fans, and the latter's greatly appreciated the move. Fans have been quick to point out in interviews that Odegaard's captaincy was an inspired change, and it says something about Arteta to have seen and bet on the Norwegians' leadership qualities before they came to the fore. Young players taking on more mature roles of leading the team is a trend that's starting to crop up in the beautiful game recently. It's a nice touch to see Arsenal as part of the evolving crowd compared to their stagnation in the pre-Arteta era. It's an understatement to say Mikel Arteta's done a good job at Arsenal. He's nothing short of phenomenal for the Gunners, fixing not just the starting 11, but the club culture and management as a whole. It's a project that aims to revitalise the club from the inside out, and Arteta's got the Midas touch each step of the way, from his strategic appointment of key background figures to identifying the right players for the project and cutting off dead weight. If that sounds like easy work to you, you need only look at Manchester United to see how much the rot festers when the entire system isn't overhauled. Arteta has infused life into Arsenal, and we can only watch in awe. What do you think about Mikel Arteta? Will he win the league this year, and could he go on and achieve even more success with Arsenal? Don't forget to like the video if you enjoyed it and hit the subscribe and notification buttons.